damn it.
Hey, listen, man. Somebody's got to be sober here, bro.
Bullshit, man. Don't give me that shit.
I can't get drunk off one beer.
Nah.
Now two, and I'm a wreck.
No. So Vic,
I find that hard to believe.
So Vic, we're gonna have to hold up on you then. We're
Yeah.
Whoa,
Vic,
whoa
no
there,
more beer,
Tiger.
man.
Whoa, big boy.
No more beer. Stop.
Let's slow that down there, big boy.
No more beer, Vic.
Nah, man. I was actually thinking like one of the things that I would actually like to do, because I know that the first recording we tried to hit but we didn't really get was kind of like look at this guy drinking wine over here.
I was gonna have a beer, but I need to finish this one up.
Hey, look at you. Yo, Vic, man, I'm telling you, man.
He's a classy hoe.
This dude moved to Greenpoint. Now he thinks he's all classy. Got the
I should have never did that.
gimmick
What
and
the hell was I
everything.
thinking, man?
Oh my goodness.
Julio has to have a nice glass of wine before bed every
shit,
night.
My goodness.
If not, he
No,
can't sleep.
hell no.
No, but here's the deal. He puts it in the damn wine glass. So that just makes it look even that much more bougie. Just he puts it in the wine glass. Like,
Bougie. I haven't
What
heard
do
that word.
you have? What do you have over there?
It's a wine from Spain.
What kind of wine?
It's red wine. I don't know the name.
He's
I
not
just
as
know-
bougie as you think, Lou.
Guess not.
You don't know if it's a Pinot Grigio,
Chardonnay.
a Chardonnay.
I think it's a Pinot. I think I could be wrong. I have no clue.
He said Pinot.
Pinot, whatever.
He doesn't know if it's a
You don't know what it is.
if it's a
Yeah,
rated R
what it is.
superstar.
Look at this guy over here. Look, even Vic got a bougie gut. See, I'm the one here rocking around with a plastic cup.
And then a Mets one at that. So you know it's really
Absolutely. Everything is branded here, pal. Everything.
garbage.
Everything is branded, pal. Everything. So what exactly are we going to be talking about? Because we have enough already on the headlines of pro wrestling. You know, with the Revival being released, Ronda Rousey running her mouth about.
Oh, I heard about that.
Talking
What
about
did Ronda? Wait. What did Ronda say?
Lou, would you like to, or would you like me to say it?
It doesn't matter. It's the information.
Anybody? What did Ronda say?
Basically, Ronda Rousey went on a podcast with Steve-O. I think Steve-O from Jackass. He just and she was basically talking about how she'll never go back to working full time for WWE because of the ungrateful fans. I didn't care about that so much.
I didn't care about that comment. I really didn't.
I didn't care so much about that. I actually was upset when she keeps saying, "I wouldn't go do this fake wrestling stuff." Man, it drives me nuts when she says that, because I'm like, listen, wrestling's not fake. It's choreographed, it's staged, but it's not fake, and she should know better because the bumps that she takes are very real. She's broken her finger. She's fucked up her hip. She's got a few marks on her body thanks to fake wrestling.
Well, I think, unfortunately, I don't agree with this at all. First of all, she's working. I hope y'all know.
Absolutely, I know she's
working.
Yeah,
this is all part of the character to make her more realistic. So to make her more realistic, what do MMA fighters say about wrestling? They say, "Oh, it's fake fighting, whatever." I don't agree with that because I don't like that I get it. You want to make it realistic. I don't care if it's super realistic, but
I mean, she basically
her calling it fake makes the show. It's not realistic because within the show, a character wouldn't say that.
I mean, we all know, we all know it's choreographed, but still, like, you don't go out there and, say a comment like that. I don't think she cares. And again, I have no ill will towards her. I still love her. I do want her to come back, but those comments.
She cares. She cares. She has a very similar approach to Brock Lesnar does. It's an idea. I wouldn't be surprised if this is straight from Triple H's mouth.
Again, it's like I said, I don't think she cares, but I could be wrong.
No, she cares a lot.
She cares greatly. She cares greatly.
She cares. That's why she's super invested in her character that they, came up with for her. Once she turned heel, she called it fake during programming. During WWE programming, she used similar terminology.
which is not. Listen, I don't like
I
that.
don't agree with it. I'm
I
just
don't-
saying that she's in character. So
Yeah,
Well,
I
here's- go ahead, man.
no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what I'm going to say is that even though she's in character, I think one of the things that really drives me crazy about all of this is that with her, when she does something like that, whether whether it's done intentionally or not, she's actually being very disrespectful to all the other wrestlers, because none of the other wrestlers, not even Brock Lesnar, you'll never see Brock
Not even
Lesnar.
Brock would say something like that.
No, but Brock would never go out and call
no,
wrestling.
Brock don't do that.
Yeah.
Brock doesn't do
He
that.
No, he
do that.
wouldn't do
So
that.
for
So I don't think
the thing about it is, for Ronda Rousey, is that I would say, listen, Ronda Rousey's special. She won. She's an Olympic medalist in judo. She in the time when mixed martial arts, UFC, was not female friendly at all in terms of having women fighting.
Came in and changed all that.
She got into the ring and became clearly the most popular star in the UFC for several years. Then she transitioned to the WWE, where she made a seamless transition for somebody who's doing shoot fighting, combat sport, to then going into the world of professional wrestling, which, yes, there's definitely the element of physicality, but the thing is that there's cooperation amongst the people. You're working towards telling a story. She's incredible at it. I just don't like the fact that even if she's working, which I really do, and I agree with Victor, I think that she is working. But the thing that actually aggravates me is that whether she realizes this or not, or whether, and I'm sure that there's got to be some level of green lighting from the WWE to have this happen. Well, I'm like, you're being disrespectful to the business. You can't do that. Even if you want to be a heel and you want to be like, you want to get, real heat, you do not disrespect the wrestling business like that. You just don't. You're a combat fighter. You should know better. She's a combat fighter. She should know better. For her to actually say, hey, this stuff is fake, not only is she downplaying herself and she's devaluing herself, but she's devaluing every single person that she works with. And that's just, it's not good for business. I don't think it is.
Yeah, to me, it just, and me, I don't care what you do. There could be a ghost fighting or whoever. Undertaker can have any powers he wants. I don't care about that, because those are the rules of the show. But if you're watching Game of Thrones and there's a dragon coming, right? The dragon doesn't go, okay, folks, we'll be right back. You're going to get to see the rest of this fake show as soon as we're done. I don't like characters within the show, You don't like people breaking character, in other words. Yeah, within the show. It's like, if it's about the show. It's like, what are you doing? I don't care if you talk about the show, but don't, she's in character calling it
Don't
fake.
break kayfabe.
Yeah, I mean, you can break kayfabe if you're gonna talk about the show. Like, if Chris Jericho, the man, is whatever his real name is,
Chris Irvin.
Yeah, if Irvin, yes, Chris Irvin is talking about Chris Jericho and how he executed a storyline, I don't care about that. You know what really grinds my gears? Jim Ross has been doing this a lot lately. He's trying to tell you things that make sense within within AEW, oh, we have records, right? Because it's real, but it's like, so you're shitting on the rest of wrestling. You're saying that when it didn't have records, it didn't seem realistic. Don't talk about that during the show, because you're part of the show. Don't talk about what feels realistic and what doesn't feel realistic. Yeah, I've heard him use the word doesn't that seem real? Say shit like that. Like, what?
Well, part of
say something legit, or say that word.
Legit's better. Not good either, because you're saying that if you go, oh, you see that move he did right there? Now that's a legit move, or he's a legit fighter. If you say he's a legit fighter, so what's everybody else? Everybody else is a fake fighter? Or not legit? You're buried everybody else when you do stuff like that.
See, the disposition that I take with AEW and a lot of their presentation is really based upon working with the indie wrestling audience. So they're presenting themselves to the not the casual fan, but the really the fans that read the dirt sheets, the fans that really want to know more. So they kind of cater the show to that audience. The thing that ends up happening is a lot of times is that when they present the records, and I know that they're trying to present it as a sports-based presentation,
Yeah.
right? Like the sports-based presentation. The issue with that is, unfortunately, is that when you only have probably 3 or 4 talents on the entire roster that actually legitimately have winning records, and the majority of your talents are either 500 or below 500, it's actually you can't present somebody as like, oh, how killer is this person, when you look at their win-loss record and they're 4 wins and 7 losses. You're like, okay,
They don't have enough of a track record.
no, but what I'm saying is that even if it was a mixed martial arts, if somebody had a 4-7 record, they could truly be killer, but nobody would ever present them that way because they have a losing record. So sometimes with AEW, when it comes to their presenting their records, it's either you really want to do it one of two ways. It's either you want to present it for the people who are winning matches consistently, and you're pushing them towards a bigger story, or it might be for the person who loses a lot, but you're actually trying to present that and say, hey, you know what, this person doesn't win very often, but boy, do they have a lot of heart. Do they give it their effort? Every single person that beats them, they're beaten. The matches are close. Like, oh, they're just one big move away, one big match away from like their breakout moment. So that's a lot of it is with AEW is that when it comes to their commentary, sometimes with their commentary, I'm not a big fan of it. But it's only because I think that they're trying to cater a little too much to the smart fans. And when it comes to pro wrestling, again, I always say that I know that Victor, says that, hey, the rules are different for every show, but I think that there's certain baselines for wrestling, certain baselines for presentation that if you are going to deviate from those baselines, it's got to be something that really works. And sometimes the dabbling and trying to work it out as you go, eventually they'll get it. They'll find their voice. They'll find their groove. It's just a matter that in the process of getting there, it could be sometimes frustrating, especially when you hear somebody like Jim Ross, who is by far the greatest announcer ever in the history of pro wrestling. And, sometimes it kind of frustrates me to hear him trying to, find his voice inside of the AEW universe. So yeah, like I said, it's a little frustrating. They'll eventually get it. I know they will. It's just a matter that the things that most people get to learn in front of, a small audience, they're learning it in front of, a national television audience. So there's a lot to criticize there, but at the same time, it's like, hey, they're learning as they go. So I'm trying to cut them a break, but at the same time, it's always a matter of don't keep repeating the same mistakes, because then it's no longer a mistake. Now it's a pattern. And then it's like, okay, that just means that that's the way they're going to do it. And then I can critique them based on, okay, this is not mistakes or growing pains. This is a pattern, and this is how you want to present it. Then I can kind of critique it and say, hey, I don't like this for this and this reasons.
I agree.
I mean, there's not a lot of things on AEW that I don't like, to be honest. I really enjoy the presentation. I think they do a good job with the records, because they're sneaky. Like you should be in wrestling. You should find a way to bend the rules in your favor, right? So there's some like, yeah, it's true. Like they kind of manipulate the scoring, the standings, because they'll have people. If someone needs a win, they'll have them win. They can win in a tag, or if you like John Moxley has 2 losses. They are in tag matches. You present him. You show his singles record, and he's undefeated in his singles record. But when he lost in that tag, it was a big deal, right? Someone pinned him. It was a big deal. Same thing with Jericho. Jericho gets pinned in a tag. It was a big deal. But he doesn't really lose in his, he still had not lost in his as a singles. And that's how it was presented. And they normally do focus on the top person, the top 2 people, the people chasing, the title. So I don't have a problem with the record. I just don't like in any company, like pointing out things that make the show seem fake. Like you're saying, this is not how I would have done it. But your character should not speak like that within the show. You should speak like that outside of the show. That's my only issue with any show, really.
I guess so. I mean, it's just again, bouncing back to the Ronda Rousey issue. It's just a matter with me. like I said, I think the world of her. I think she's fantastic, and I think that she's actually great for WWE, and WWE should keep her around. Do I think that she's working? The answer is yes, I do. The one thing about it is that I don't know if she's working the fans or if she's working the WWE, because I think that ultimately,
You took the words right out of my mouth, Lou. I was just gonna say that. I was like, man, she's working us, so she's working the company.
Because I think that at some point, I think that realistically, what Ronda Rousey may be looking for is probably a similar situation to what Brock Lesnar has, to where Brock gets to work only the top matches. He works a very limited schedule, and he makes a boatload of money with WWE. And I'm sure that Ronda Rousey makes a very good paycheck. It's all a matter of, does she want to work a semi-regular schedule, or kind of work like Brock, where he only makes something like 25 appearances a year?
What are your guys' thoughts on the XFL? They have decided that they're not going to return, and my thoughts. I kind of feel bad, not so much for Vince McMahon, but I kind of feel bad for like everybody in, the players, the coaches, the staff. Like, these were probably the guys and that weren't able to make the cut in the XFL, or weren't good enough to make it in the XFL per se. And I kind of feel bad because now they're out of a job. Also, I kind of feel the XFL kind of rubbed off on Reigns, because like, as so much momentum he gets to becoming the world champion, and he either comes close and something happens, or he gets the title and something happens. Because if you guys see all Roman Reigns is Reigns, man, they're, excuse me, no pun intended, they are not good. So what do you guys thought on the XFL, man? Because I kind of feel bad, but not for Vinny, Matt, because the SOB has billions of dollars. If anything, like, we should be calling him to give us some money. But yeah, what are you guys thoughts on the XFL? Let's make this one quick. This is a short.
I mean, I feel how you feel. I don't want to see people lose their jobs, and I think it's fun. Like, it was going to be a fun place for people to work, people who couldn't make it to the NFL, or who still want to be on television here in the States.
Or just play football.
And just play football instead of having to go to Canada or wherever else you want to go.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Where else do they play football?
just Canada and America, right?
We have the Arena League.
I'm sorry, Vic. I thought that was funny. You like anywhere else?
Anywhere else, they might want to go. They honestly might be stuck playing rugby if they don't make it to the CFL or the NFL.
Yeah,
that's what they're gonna have to do now. They're gonna have to go. They are gonna have to go to Europe and find another job.
Unfortunately,
but even for Vince, I feel bad. I don't want to see people fail that badly.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for Vince.
I don't care if he fails and it's his fault, but it's not his fault,
No. In this particular situation, it wasn't Vince's fault. It's just, unfortunately, what the world is going through.
There's a lot of things to blame Vince for. This is not one of those.
Yeah, this is not one of them. No, I agree. Lou?
With the XFL, it's a little weird, because I kind of feel bad in the sense of the XFL that they actually had pretty good momentum. I think the first time around when they did this 20 years ago, it was pretty much a universal bomb. It was snake bit from the beginning. This time around, it actually looked like we might have a league that might have some legs underneath it.
Yeah, Lou, speaking of snake bit, what do you think was that? What do you think? What was the reason why that they were snake bit from the beginning, as opposed to now that they had a good chance?
Conspiracy
theory?
I
kind of know. I kind of got my opinions on it, but Lou, what's yours?
Well, I mean, when I watched the ESPN documentary on the XFL, that was a really good eye opener. I just think that really with the XFL, the first time around, I think that there was a couple of things that were wrong with it. I think that one, it was too wrestling centered, and I think that
Thank you.
Vince McMahon believed, and I can understand why he thought this way, because the WWE was super duper popular back in 2000, 2001 when the XFL first debuted, and I just thought that they tried to blend in the wrestling too much with football, and not understanding that there is some cross-pollination between the two audiences, but not nearly as much.
But now there is much.
And what ended up happening was that at the time, there was never any other football product because the AFL had been gone for a long time, and the XFL was bringing a different viewpoint on football. And the thing is, some of the things that the XFL did, the NFL has now adopted it into their television presentation. So there is. So
isn't it that camera angle that the
like
in the middle of the field?
I know they had the overhead camera, miking the
overhead camera. There we go. Yes.
Miking the coaches and the players. You know, it's different. You know, there's some elements of the XFL that did get incorporated into the NFL. I just honestly thought that it was too much wrestling related. And even for me as a wrestling fan, I watched the XFL because I was actually kind of curious to see what the product was. And then when I saw it, I was like, the football is not very good, and the wrestling stars just seem out of place, you know, putting them in there. So it was a bomb. That was fine. This time around, the difference is that they actually were just trying to make it straight football, very little incorporation of anything WWE, and you know, the few games that I did see, I was like, this isn't half bad. It really wasn't. You know, the players were better. The game, you know, they still have some gimmickry to the game, but not nearly as much as it was 20 years earlier. So I thought it was an overall better presentation. I just feel bad because the circumstances that they're under, I was like, man, you know, you're closing down the shop literally only half a season in, and, you know, because obviously this COVID-19 thing really screwed everything up. I don't think that it should have been enough of a reason to shut down the operations, but I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. So if Vince McMahon decided to do it, then, you know, he has his reasons and he knows why. So
yeah, I think it's probably too much of a loss for Vince, because right now, you know, with the stock market down, he probably lost a lot of money in the stock market.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, WWE can't make money, not as much money. They have a lot of deals in place with their TV, but, you know, they don't have any shows. No live.
Yeah,
you know, they're not making nothing.
It's difficult. Yeah, I get it.
I'm sure they're still selling merch online, but, you know, it's not the same as, you know, being on the road, you know, 5 days a week, you know, and having fans in the building 5 days a week. And with 3 different brands. When if you want to count NXT UK and 205 Live, they film with SmackDown, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I believe so. Yeah.
205 Live is not its own brand. You know, they probably feature their matches in some of the live event tours, I'm sure, because those guys probably work the house show loops, but they're certainly not their own separate brand. At least not for live events. They're certainly not.
Yeah, but either way, he was probably losing too much money at the same time. It's like, I got to get out of this.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, because I thought that second time around was much better, and, you know.
I'll be honest. I've never seen an XFL game, but, you know, I kind of do feel bad more for, you know the players, the staff, the coaches. You know, the fact that like Vic said, they're all going to be out of a job. So it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys will get to the NFL.
Oh, no, definitely definitely they'll get there. And speaking of out of jobs, and a lot of guys are happy about it. The Revival, they have been.
Wow, speaking of guys out of jobs, holy smokes.
Speaking of guys out of jobs,
Dawson, don't take it the wrong way, my brother. We like you still.
Yeah. No. I won't.
No, they wanted to be out of a job.
Yeah, exactly. It's a blessing in disguise. It is actually a blessing in disguise. The Revival officially done with Double E. I think it was a long time coming. You know, those guys weren't happy. They could have offered a lot more than WWE, you know, wanted from them. And, you know, I'm happy for Dash. I'm happy for Scott. I don't think that they were treated right, you know, as far as their character goes on TV. Will we see them in AEW? Time will tell, most likely. And I think that they will, you know, they're going to thrive in AEW. I think AEW is going to give them so much creative control, so much freedom that I think they're gonna put up some really good matches. Vic, your
I
thoughts
mean,
on the Revival being let go, which is
here,
not a
here,
surprise at
here are
all.
my thoughts. Like a lot of people, at first glance, I did not like the Revival. I did not like watching them. I was like, oh my God. And they put the belt on them in NXT
Oh,
really
okay,
quickly.
yeah. I was gonna ask, what was it, NXT
Yeah,
or
in
Raw?
NXT. Yeah, they put
Okay,
the
yeah.
belts on them and I didn't get it. And they had done that with, what was that team that wasn't Alexa Bliss the manager and Buddy
Oh,
Murphy?
yeah, buddy. Yeah.
I
I
forget
don't.
the name of the team, but they did the same thing with them. Random. It felt like a random heel tag team. Put the belts on them. That's what I felt when they put the belts on the Revival.
You saw the Revival, okay.
Eventually, a few you watch. I don't know when it happened, but out of nowhere, they started having these great matches, like out of this world great matches. Like I couldn't believe how good these guys were. And not only that I feel that way, I think the whole damn universe, especially
Did they prove you wrong? Did they prove you wrong?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm very excited because they haven't had a chance to have consistent great matches since they've came up to the main roster. They try their best to get the most. They don't care about the titles. They don't care about their booking. They care about the matches. They're like, give me a chance to go out there and have a great match, please.
Yeah, work.
And they have to beg for it, which I never understood.
Yeah. Is that Daniel Bryan mentality? He's kind of like, I just want to go out and work. Like I just want to go out and
it's the same exact thing with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan, thank God now you can tell Daniel Bryan has a lot of pull. I felt that way before. You know, IC title, long hair, long beard, pre-injury, Daniel Bryan, pre-retirement. I felt that he was getting a lot of pull, a lot of respect with the company. You could feel that in the way he was being booked because you can feel that he had a say.
And it's kind of like
right now, the way Daniel Bryan's being booked, he has a say, and you can just tell.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Revival, it doesn't. Unfortunately, it didn't work that way.
Did not have a say. But if you have guys like that who just want to go out there and have great matches and can have great matches, I'm okay with those types of guys. If you think Cesaro can't talk and you think he has no personality, you know, whoever is booking the show or writing the show thinks Cesaro is boring on the mic and he has no character, okay, that's fine. You feel that way. One thing he can do is wrestle his ass off.
That's
right. Why not give the fans every now and then? It doesn't have to be every week. Every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks, give this man a chance to go out there and have a killer match because that's what he does best. Same thing with Daniel Bryan. Same thing with AJ Styles. Although those guys are booked well. But any guy like that who's really, really, really special in the ring, because Cesaro is special in the ring, just like the Revival, give them a chance to at least have good matches. You're not going to give them that. At least they're going to go find. They're definitely going to go do that somewhere else.
I agree, Lou.
I mean, listen, I'm actually happy for. It's weird. I'm happy for both guys in the Revival because I think they deserve better. I think it's really unfortunate for WWE because they actually lost 2 excellent talents and were a great tag team, especially in a division in WWE's tag team division that seemingly has a shortage of really good to great established teams. The Revival's like, I mean, how much better can you get? I mean, these guys are the classic heel tag team. The reason, I mean, think about it. The reason why they took the name The Revival is because they're reviving old school, 1960s, 1970s, territory tag team wrestling, where, these are not guys, they're not flashy, they're not, at least they're not presented that way. Because I'm sure that they could do the flips and they can do all that stuff, but that's not the way that they're presented, and they work their matches perfectly the way that they're presented. I feel bad for Dash and Dawson for this reason. To a certain degree, even they're phenomenal talents. They're going to land on their feet. So let's just, I'm going to preface it by saying that they're great talents. They're going to land on their feet. The thing about it is that no matter what platform they go to now, every place they go to is going to be a smaller platform than the one that they had. So it's a matter of, in the age of the internet and people can, you can consume wrestling in a zillion different ways. They just go work and have great matches everywhere. Should, when Victor's saying that You know, they didn't care about their booking. They just wanted to have great matches. If I'm ever a talent, I definitely want to care about my booking, and this is the reason why. Because even if I'm not the man in said promotion, but if that's a promotion that gets a lot of eyeballs on it, I want people to look at me as, you know, somewhat credible. Because, you know, I could be the toughest dude in the locker room, but if I'm getting set up to lose every single week, then the fans are going to look at me and be like, oh yeah, this guy sucks. So it's all a matter of, you know, you don't have to win all the time. But I say for a team like the Revival, if you have a 60-40 record, 65-35 type record, that's, you know, that's going to be perfect for them moving forward.
I agree.
The thing is, do I think that they should they land in AEW right away? In all honesty, no, I don't think so. I think they would probably be best going and, you know, working in Japan, working the indies, doing that for a little while. Only I think part of it is because they may want to rehab themselves a little bit. If they just show up to AEW now, they'll still have some of that residual stink of WWE. And listen, AEW is already they're doing a rebuild project with Brody Lee that's going to take time. And even though with Matt Hardy, you know, to the fan, you know, to the indie fans, they love that broken Matt Hardy gimmick, but he's been in WWE for several years, and you know, he's had a lot of starts and stops. So they basically have two rebuild projects with two very recent former WWE talents going on board with AEW. I don't think that I would not advise the Revival to show up in AEW right away. 6 months, a year, give yourself some time, you know, for lack of a better term, disappear for a little while from the national spotlight.
At least for the summertime. Yeah.
At least, definitely, if there's no fans in the building, don't come back until you got fans.
It makes no sense. But the thing is, for those two guys, I mean, it may be that AEW, considering the way that the world is right now, that might be their only option. Because in all honesty, these guys still have to feed their families, and if AEW is going to present them with a paycheck and say, hey, listen, we understand what the situation is, but, you know, you can't work indie shows, you know, you can't, you know, and who knows if any other promotions worldwide may not have the same capabilities that WWE and AEW does to pay their talents. So they may end up going there, at least for my flavor, a little prematurely. Mm-hmm. But, you know, to me, it's like, I think they can have great matches there in AEW. Again, you know, I know that we've had these conversations privately, but I'm hoping that if a team like the Revival shows up, I'm not afraid that they're not going to be able to work their style of match. It's more a matter of the other teams slowing themselves down enough to be able to allow those matches to kind of really percolate. And hopefully a team like the Revival can actually be a breath of fresh air to that tag team division to kind of, you know, present a different style of a match, and hopefully present a lot of these tag teams that work these really frenetic styles, slow them down. And, you know, and be able to present those matches a little better. Because I might, like I said, you know, I like the talents in AEW. It's all a matter that sometimes the style may not necessarily be to my flavor. But a team like the Revival, if they can show up and work their style of match, and the other guys cooperate, and they can work to where all four guys can get their stuff in and present their best presentation, oh yeah, the Revival will be great in AEW.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Louis. Just bring that different style into AEW, that more like, you know, that ground and pound fight, you know, as opposed to, like, you know, a lot of the high flying moves. Because I've never seen the Revival like do a lot of, like, you know,
they don't have to
jump do. I think what Lou said, I think they're more that old school, that 70s, you know, with the Andersons and the Horsemen, like they do have the mentality. And Lou, no, I agree with you. I think that they could come in and be a great breath of fresh air and let these tag teams in AEW, like, hey guys, slow down, let's work. Not that the AEW guys are not doing anything wrong. I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, but like, bring that different style in. No, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the Revival is going over there to tell anyone what to do or how to do it, because that is literally, I don't think that's what they want for them. I don't think they want people telling them how to wrestle.
Yeah.
You know? But I think, and the good thing about AEW, those guys, it's a new age. These young guys are not like the old timers who had to politic and step on each other, and I don't give a fuck about that guy. Make sure I look good. No, this is a new age.
I think the only guy left of that era is Brock Lesnar.
But even
when
Brock,
you speak of guys like that, I'm hearing I echo Brock. It's like Brock is probably the only guy.
I truly don't feel that Brock, even Brock wants people to look good. I really do think he does. It's just sometimes I don't know if he's in a bad mood or people piss him off or WWE pisses him off, and then he just goes, fuck it, I'm not gonna do it for this match. Let's just get out of there, which is unfortunate. But when Brock wants to make you look good, he makes you look good. So even Brock wants to cooperate a little bit with the right people.
I agree. But as far as the Revival, they're gone. I kind of thought that maybe that they were going to AEW right away, but like Lou said, with what's going on right now, I think their best option is just try the Indies, go to Japan, get that, as you say, the stink of WWE off. I think I agree with that. But
and it's unfortunate because, man, they work some great matches. I mean, the matches they work with Gargano and Ciampa, even to a lesser degree. I mean, I know that they worked with with Enzo and Cass, and
those were good.
And those matches
were good matches.
I've never seen them.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who Revival works with. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
But that's with AEW, they let you work your style.
Well,
it doesn't matter what your style is. They let you. Revival will come in and the Revival will work the Revival style. And people love the Revival style. Even those young guys who do flips, who do that flip style or whatever, that super indie tag style, they love Revival style too. They want Revival to do their thing. Everybody likes the Revival style.
Yeah. So, but again, I have no doubts about it. It all comes down to a matter of when the way that the matches get laid out. That's really all it is. I mean, I have no question that those guys were, that every wrestler that works in AEW has an immense amount of respect for the Revival and for the work that they do. A lot of it just boils down to when the matches are laid out is how, it's in other words, it's a compromise. How much are you willing to give in order to take? And that's really where, where that conversation lies. Obviously now the only reason why I make that comment is only because of what I've seen in a lot of AEW tag team matches, that they just seem to be too fast for my liking. But it doesn't mean that when Dash and Dawson eventually show up, if they do show up in AEW, that they won't bring a completely different style and that it will work. Because I have no doubt their talent, it will work.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's AEW, the guys work their style. Dustin Rhodes works like Dustin Rhodes with a little extra because he's allowed, he's allowed the room to breathe, to show off, hey, I can work. Apparently no one knew that, but
and whoever said that they didn't know that Dustin Rhodes didn't know how to work don't know what they're talking about.
Well, they didn't want to use him because he was old or whatever reasons WWE don't like using. They didn't like using Goldust. They didn't want to use him. So. But Sean Spears works Sean Spears style, which is a slower, more methodical style. More storytelling elements within his matches.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Cody, he has a lot of storytelling in his matches. It's that the tag teams that were available are, these young teams that do a lot of high spots. That's just what's available. The Revival's going to come.
I agree.
They're going to work their style, and it's going to be great because everybody likes their style. Even indie fans who are supposed to only like the flippity stuff, no, everybody likes the Revival style. Indie fans like the Revival style. They love it. I know it. I've seen it.
No, I agree, but I also agree with Lou. They're going to bring a change of pace to the AEW tag team. Not that I'm not saying anything bad about AEW. AEW fans out there, if you guys see me, I'm not saying anything bad. But I just feel, the Revival is going to bring something different and exciting if or when they head to AEW. Excuse me, I forgot. I'm sorry, AEW.